It's going to be very interactive. So for once, normally the workshop that I deliver tend to be on very specific topics. This one is on a topic that I realize at the end of the day is probably the most important one. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Constantin Salameh. I work with I Am Capital and with Varitek. I'm also a coach with Stanford Seed. You have a few people from Joanna is from I Am Capital. She's going to handle the coaching and mentoring program. Renee is also I Am Capital. Jessica is the Varitek. Sami is Varitek Fund 1. He's the GM of the fund. We have also people from Speed, the accelerator, and we have entrepreneurs, Rima, Ziad, and the team. So I've met the team, I think most of the team, and you have other entrepreneurs. Bassam, is it? So you have a number. So what we're going to do today is going to do something which is a bit different. My first exposure to it was actually at the business school. So Bassam, for instance, is applying for the Stanford Business School. And it was a course called Touchy-Feely. It was this is back in 1982, so it was a long time ago. Most of you, except Sami and I, were not born. So we had, and this course was Touchy-Feely. It's about really interpersonal dynamics. And Stanford, by the way, Stanford was rated as the #1 university. I don't know if you saw it.
So this is the class where everyone tends to cry.
They cry. But Stanford, if there is one course I remember, it's the one that affects you. What they do is it's about getting to know you. And you get to know you through T groups, people that you work with. And at the end of the day, what's probably the most powerful and impactful, although Stanford is known for finance, known for marketing, known from technology, startups and everything, the course that most of the Stanford MBA would remember is Touchy-Feely. And so this is, I'm not going to make you cry. We're not here for this. It's going to be about basically getting to know you. Now, a number of you are at an inflection point in your life. Some of you are looking at different options. You want to start a career. You're looking at different options, or you have started your career and you're looking at maybe I want to consider changing what I'm doing. I'm not necessarily happy in what I do. Others are people that have made it, have gone through it, and are in the process also at an inflection point. So these moments in time, you basically reflect. You reflect on yourself. You reflect on what you have done. And a lot what we will do will be questions. So there is not going to be, the answers actually are with you. All what we will do is we will raise these questions with you, and at the end help you not find the answers, but help you, once you have the answers, sit down with you and be able to help you go through it. Now, Joanna, and some of you are interested to look when you're going to have completed your personal development plan. If you want to set up one-on-one timing, she will schedule it, and then we will have the timing next week where you could come and I could follow up with you. So the way I propose that we work is that I always start this, so when people are very bored with the slides, I always start with the same slide. There is a consistency in all my slides, but this one is probably most relevant to this presentation than to any of the other workshops that I have delivered. So for those who have seen it, please bear with me. I need to tell the story about it. Basically, you're here, you're on this boat. You live in Lebanon. Ahla wa sahla, it's going to be a wavy. You're a startup in Lebanon, it's going to be also more wavy. You know, you are here where you're looking at funds and trying to get funds, so you're going to have waves all over your life. These waves could be personal waves, could be professional waves, could be other sort of waves. So what you need is that you need to have clarity. The more clear is what you're trying to do in your life, the easier it is going to be for you to overcome the problems that you have and the challenges that you have. And all of you, in your daily work, you have problems. You have issues with colleagues, with parents, with family. So the concept here is if you don't know to which port you are sailing, no winds will be favorable. The point of this workshop is trying to help you find what is the port where you're sailing. What is it? You know, and how do you get there? So this is basically the bit behind it. It's linked to, and I mentioned it before also, it's linked to the concept of logotherapy. So introduced by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist, and he went through concentration camps. He survived concentration camp. He looked at the people who survived, and it was not the youngest nor the fittest. They were the people who really knew that their life was not over, knew that they still have something to. Then he said, this is interesting. Then I applied it, and he applied it in logotherapy, and he was treated. All the patients who come with him had insecurity. All of us have insecurity. Some of us don't realize it, some of us do realize it, and how we cope with these insecurities, with uncertainties in our life, is, and one way of doing it is having clarity in terms of why we exist and why we want to leave behind. So this is as an introduction. It's something that that you will see. Now, how we will go about it, you cannot read it, so I'll read it for you. Normally what we do at IM Capital, Varitek and Speed, we basically are here to help entrepreneurs and founders of companies to grow and to transform. So what you have is the type, we do it through funding. Sami and I started a long time ago when we started to fund back 7 and 8 years ago. Some of the companies that today we're going to be exiting, we started with 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, and these were at times where there was no money available for startups. Now you have a very large number of money available for startups. So what we do is not only funding, we're also hosting them. Jessica here is the office's site manager for this building. So she's in charge of all the people, all the number of companies and the employees. And you have equivalent to Jessica in Varitek Mathaf, you have equivalent at the Azib thing. So this is, so we host, we fund the companies. We're now going to be coaching them. Ziad is a good example. Rima is another example of companies that have started and that we're in different fields. And we are helping them basically hold their hands and helping them face the challenges that they do and trying to find answers to these challenges that we do. So this is part of what we do. So we do it through a coaching or we do it through a mentoring, and I'll cover these two topics here in our presentation. And then we deliver workshops to make sure that everybody speaks the same language. So this is now the workshop that we do, and I realized, and these were the workshop, were around investing. How do you value a company? You know, you want to value marketeering. The other one is leader as a strategist. So how do you build your strategic plan? How do you build a team? Make sure that the team will work together. How do you go about understanding financial statements? How do you go about being a change catalyst in whatever change you're trying to implement in the organization? The last 2 days I was in Bahrain, who is one of the companies that Sami has funded. This company is in the insurance space. They have bought a company in Bahrain. His huge issue is trying to integrate the two cultures. This is very much about trying to see how to be a change catalyst, how to integrate two different companies with different culture. So these are change catalyst mentioned twice, risk, sales. You need to create sales. Make sure, in Ziad's case, a lot of the time what we spend is how do we go about creating the sales? Who is going to lead it? How much time does it take to close a sale? So this is all by itself is a big process in terms of developing a sales strategy. It could be in a technology specialist. So we develop a lot of workshops, but at the end of the day, the most important one is who are you? It's in the middle. It's who are you, what do you want to do in your life, where are you going, and how you're going to get there. So most of the workshops that we did were on the periphery. Today what we're doing, and this is the first time, by the way, that I deliver it. So it is, bonjour Anne-Marie. So it is, Anne-Marie is a great cook, you know. She has the best pastries ever. So I'm doing free advertising for her, you know. I had my mom's 90th birthday, and I tell you the cake she has done for my mother's birthday was unbelievable. I have never tasted as good a cake as ever. So you'll take her business card afterwards. So it's, anyway, so c'est une bonne introduction, Anne-Marie. Hein, ça c'est, very good. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to ask you the question. You have this here. But if I ask you the question, in your mind, what do you think living a meaningful life is? Each one of you have your own definition. What do you think for you living a meaningful life is? How would you go about it? Give me some examples of what you will see in terms of... I'm sorry? Contributing. So contributing. So one is about contribution. Okay, what else?
Living a healthy life.
So we have healthy, so we have contribution, we have healthy life, and healthy could be, so healthy life. What else?
Making a change.
I'm sorry?
Making a change.
This is too general.
Doing something with an impact that can help.
Okay, so this is contribution, I would say social impact, making a change. Now I understand. Social impact, so you need to have an impact, and you have a number of great NGOs in Lebanon, in the region, so you're contributing to them. This is, I mean, what else are definitions of meaningful?
Successful.
Growing. So you have, you could say healthy, you have contribution, you have social impacts. I'm going to have, say, learning. I'm going to say learning. So learning, growing. This is, Jessica, what did you say? Successful? So how do you measure success?
Be content.
Be content. So you could be content. So you have, success is different. It's be content. Be content with what you have. You know, this is a big thing. A number of us have problem with this. We always want to have a nicer car, a nicer watch, a nicer house and everything. So be content is very important. Okay, appreciative. I agree. Be content. So basically enjoy the moment. Enjoy what you have, you know, appreciative. So this is important. So you have appreciative. Learning. You've put success. I'm going to say success like job success. So this is something that you have a job that you like, you have a job that helps you grow. So this is other definition of, yes?
Patience.
Patience, so this could be patience. So we have specifically be more, what do you mean by being patient? In terms of what?
It's like listening.
Yes? Okay, I'm going to put patience. Okay, so this is patient. It is listening. You're right, you know, so we're here to what? We're here to have social learning, be content, appreciative, so have fun. So have fun. Life is too short, we need to make sure we have fun. What else?
Being loving and loved.
Okay, loving and loved. So this is very important. Yes, learning, growing, job. Yes.
You want to love that word and you want to love it.
Be loved. Be loved and loved. No, this is important. I mean, love is, you know, it's unlucky the person who had lived a life without falling in love and falling out of love. Yes, Sammy?
Being financially independent.
Okay, financially independent, healthy, patient, learning, job success. I would say financially independent. So financially independent, basically you could do whatever you want. Being financially independent, you have a selection, you could choose whatever you want to do. Sammy's kids are all well married, his 2 daughters, beautiful daughters, and grandchildren, and he spends the time the way he wants. So this is a sign of, what else? I'm sorry?
Inspiring.
You could inspiring. Okay, so what you have is inspiring, contribution, social impact, learning, growing. So we have. I'm going to group them. I'm trying to position all our goods. I'm positioning them into bubbles, you know. And imagine that the first bubble is about your body. So about the body, being in healthy life, you know, patient listening. You have is fun. So you could have the other one here. Contribution is about your heart. It's trying to make a difference. Have fun, be loved, love. So it's really about your heart. Here it's about your mind. You need to be successful. You want to have money. You want to be financially independent. Peace of mind. So peace of mind could be peace of mind. I'll put it here. What else do you have as definitions? Satisfaction under? Okay, so you have peace of mind. You have other
Setting goals.
Setting goals is the mind. So you have your sets, and I would say not only set and achieve goals. Okay, any other definitions? Okay, so here you have the last one is the soul. There is no one definition. There is, for some people, it might be one that is important. The point I'm trying to make here is that you will have as many definitions as all of you are here in the room, and you might have more definitions. In the case of Bassam, for him, get me into Stanford MBA, وبعدين the sky is the limit, you know. So this is, in the case of, I don't know, in the case of Roberta, it's find me a beautiful, no, no, in the case of Jessica, it's finding me a beautiful husband and I'll be happy. No, Jessica, ما حطيتي لي إياها. A rich one type, okay. So we're going to put it, so heart, mind is finding a rich husband. So finding a rich husband, okay. So, but yeah, of course I write it. It's, I mean, for you, it's your definition. Meaningful life, you have it. You'll be. So the points that we have here is that you will have, and there's going to be different. I tried to group them. You could group them the way you want, but the body is, you need to have a healthy body. It's the way what you eat, how you exercise, being in nature, being open. All this could be definition of living a meaningful life. Sammy didn't mention it. We go on hikes on a regular basis. Roberta from time to time comes. Rula from time to time also join. So what we do is we go on hike for 6-7 hours in the beautiful nature of Lebanon. So you get out of the city, out of this. This is part of having a meaningful life. I could see him, he's blossoming. He's happy, he has his on the top of the mountain, we have the views, we eat his lunch, we have the banana break at 11, we have lunch at 1. So this is important in terms of the body. At the same time, the heart is important. You know, what we try to do here is we try to make an impact on the you know, being it with Ziad, being it with others. So this is important that we're making a difference. So it's about making a difference. It's about giving of your time. It's about being in love. Out of love is also, I learned most from the relationship that did not work, because this teaches you a lot when you go and you face yourself and you realize that it was a failure. Failures are actually great learning opportunities for all of us. So heart is another one. What gives you? It's about emotions. It's about giving. It's about feelings. It's about, here it's about the mind. It's about Cartesians. I want to succeed. I want to have, and when I started my life, a lot of it had to do, I had to go to King's, then I wanted to go to MIT, then I wanted to do like this, like Bassam, to go to Stanford. Then at the time, HP was the best companies. Go there, become the vice president, the youngest vice. So for me, it was very much career-driven, stock options after stock options. You do this, and you realize over time, at the same time keeping your body, but you realize that if this and this is not here, something is missing. And the soul, at the end of the day, ends up being the most important. And my view is that we are all spiritual souls in human bodies, but at the end, our essence. And if you don't spend the time in listening to your soul, in nourishing your souls, you're probably also missing a part. So the message here, there is no one answer. And normally, for some people, I had my job, the head of HP in Europe was Franco Mariotti, a great guy, Italian, a wonderful person. He was asked to retire at the age of 60. He built HP Europe. He built it from scratch. He built it. 6 months later, he was dead. He was dead because his entire life was purely on HP, making sure that this is, and everything, all the energy. And sometimes American companies are not very kind in the way that they will thank people, and for him it was a huge shock. And this shock was so big, it was the single most important pillar in his life, and this caused, it was a cancer, but I'm sure that a lot of these diseases are psychosomatic. I don't want to use, I was the CEO of Al Ghurair. At one point in time, I was the CEO of Al Ghurair and ETA. I had 70,000 people working with me. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. I realized that the stress was too much, and I realized I started to have pain in the leg, pain in the back. You should not wait for these moments. So this is why you have to listen to your body. You have to not only focus on your mind and make sure that you are trying to find the right balance. If one element is missing, then there is maybe something that you need to learn in terms of reaching out. So this is the message I want to do. No one definition, but finding the balance and taking the time to reflect. We do some here, we do some here. We're starting, some of us are much better in terms of sharing feelings, and the soul tends to be sometimes more difficult because it does take time, because we're alone, we're facing ourselves. And in Lebanon, we don't like to face ourselves. We are in big social parties. Everybody is enjoying it. We do this, we go. But the reality is that the more time we spend this, the less time we spend alone. And I have full respect for people who need to find the time to be able to dig in, reflect on what have happened, in order to be able to plan further. So this is the first message. Am I going too fast, Anne-Marie? Ça va, tu es sûr? Parce que je te vois des fois, tu me dis, mais qu'est-ce qu'il parle? Il parle chinois ou quoi? Donc ça c'est... Okay, so this is the first. What are we going to do? So what I'm encouraging you is I'm encouraging you to fill these. By the way, electronically, some of the slides are not here. Joanna will be happy to send you the electronic copy. We will be happy to share it. We have nothing to... So this is up to you to fill. And keep in mind the balance. If you have everything concentrated in one, maybe it might be an issue. Not now, maybe in 2 years or 5 years down the road. So how are we going to do it? We will start with some practical frameworks. So I will share with you, I mentioned Stanford Business School, a couple of frameworks that we use at the business school. We will also do a personal SWOT. I will explain to you what this personal SWOT is. You've done it for your company. We want to do it for yourself. You will have maybe similar questions, but they will come from different angles. This is for you to keep. This is for you to write on it. And if you want to share with someone that you trust, you could share. I'm happy that we could share it together and discuss it. But these are going to be different frameworks that are going to give you a picture of who you are through the answers that you will have to these. Once you have done these, it's important to understand the notion of a mentor, of a coach. Because in life, it's important to have, in some ways, a personal coach. And this coach is someone to help you. someone to guide you when you feel that you're a bit lost. So this is, or when you have problems that you, and the mentor and the coach are here to complement and help you in your journey for transformation or journey for growth. So I'll explain to you a bit how best to work with a mentor or how best to work with a coach. Then we'll focus on 4, which is the most important point. This is going to be very intimate questions that we'll be asking you. Don't try to polish it. This is your journal. Nobody else is going to read it if you don't want to share it. So this is for you to answer as openly as you can. Through these answers, we will come and we will have a few themes that are going to come up, and these themes are going to help you shape what you normally should have by the end of the session, which is a personal development plan. Now, this personal development plan will be, if I tell you what I started when I had my first job. I was actually I was graduating from not MIT, it was from Stanford. And at Stanford you have a good opportunity because you have a number of companies who wants to coach you. And I didn't know which one to choose. All were more exciting than the others. And this is the first time I started. And a number of these questions are questions that I asked myself, but I used to do it on pieces of paper. And I used to keep them on pieces of paper. And then when my sons, now 24 and 27, come up with the same question, I shared with them. And they're the one who led me to start to think about why don't I put it together and why don't I share it. And this is going to be something that will continue to develop and continue to work. So this is the first pass, and I'll be of course interested in your feedback. Now this personal development plan is something that you might review in 2 years or in 3 years. And whenever you will have inflection points in your life, and it will be a good way for you to then sit down and don't do it alone. You sit down with someone and then you go through it. And this is where the value of a coach or a mentor are quite important, because it's by going through this process that I believe that you grow. You grow in terms of an employee, in terms of a leader, in terms of a family person, in terms of a father, in terms of a mother, or in terms of a spiritual soul. So, and this time, this process is a process that helped me, and I hope it will help you. Okay, so this is what we will, any questions on what we're going to do? Is this clear? Okay, so we will go now. Okay, I won't go through it because we have, but this is something I'll be very interested. So normally if we have a coaching session, we always, again, I come up to Stanford. Stanford, when we graduated, they asked us 3 questions on the on the book that you do when you graduate. So you have all the pictures and you have the CV of the person. The 3 questions were, of course, what are your roots? What are your roots? So trying to know, so this is the first question I'm asking you about your origin and your roots. What is your key success factor? What do you think is the one thing that you do and you do extremely well? So what is this key success factor? And they ask you the 3rd question, what is your destiny? And these questions marked me. So these are questions, so what is your destiny? So these are questions, so I'm asking you the same. I don't need the answers now. I've added one thing about you that few people know. So this is about emotional striptease, you know, about, so if I go to Joanna and I will say, Constantin, I cannot reveal it in front of everybody. So it is, so we have, but these are important. With your mentor and with your coach, these are the sort of things that you need. So this will have been an icebreaker. Yes? Okay, key success, it's a technical term. By the way, interrupt me at any time. So if I ask, for instance, if you ask me what is my key success factor, I have a contagious optimism. So whatever I have the outlook to life, it could be a very difficult situation that you feel, I tend to take the positive. So for instance, I had some personal difficult situations, you take it, and instead of saying it's the other person's fault or the other, you take it on you, and this is an opportunity for you to learn. So whatever you fit in, whatever you're meeting, it's like we have a sentence, we're on the top of the mountain with Sami, is Subhanak ya khali. So you really give blessing and you look at the chance that we have. Despite al-fawda, corruption, zbil al-andiki hatari, and all these things, you tend to look at the great things. I mean, here, for instance, it's an island. You know, Jessica is head of this building. All the people are motivated. They're all passionate. They all love what they do. So you are in a country that could be in financial bankruptcy, hopefully not. Could have a civil war again, hopefully not. Could have, but at the same time, you have these islands of creativity, islands of empathy that are around the world. So a key success factor is about you. So what is it? It might be the way you communicate, you know. It might be, for instance, in the case of Jessica, she's excellent in terms of organizing. You know, this goes this goes that. Renee is excellent in terms of putting together her investment memorandum. So she's structured, she does this, she asks the question, you could see her, she's completely in it, you know what you do. So each one would have a way that makes them, is something that differentiates them. Okay, so any other questions? So if I mentioned for Anne-Marie, seriously, it's the best cakes ever. Best cake ever. And when my mother is a very old lady, so whenever I can't take it anymore and I need a break and I need to go for a walk, Anne-Marie would come and take care of my mother. So this is empathy, is also a very strong, and it goes well. Great pastries and very emphatic person. So these were, merci. So this is, yes. Okay, so in my case, I'll tell you what, they ask you my origin. At the time I was 25-year-old. So I mentioned, I wanted, because my roots are here, so I mentioned cedars of ashes. Why ashes? Because the country at the time was in the middle of the civil war. So it was the cedars, but it was the cedar of ashes. It's also a word that Nadia Twain used in one of her poems. So it was, and it impacted me, beautiful poem. So cedar of ashes, the key success factor, I've mentioned it. And in the case at the time, my destiny, what I answered is I'm still searching for it. Now, 40 years later, 35 years later, I could, no, but no, I think my destiny is here. I mean, it's being here. I mean, I've discussed it with a few of you, so I feel that there is a need, given the ecosystem that we have with startup, with SMEs. There is a certain level of experience that we have gathered over the years. People like Sami, people like myself and others that we have. I think there is a role to play in helping this ecosystem. So my destiny is really to be able to bring Stanford, bring it here, help these small, medium-sized enterprises, not only in technology, non-technology growth. So it's a long mouthful. So this is, but not I'll be interested in yours. So we're, okay, so a few guidelines here. Now you won't have all the slides, but I will share with you electronically. We only put the slides where you need because you're going to write. The more you will put in, the more you'll get out. So it is, so again, don't try to polish, don't try to look good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what, it's about you. So it's really, there's no grade. There is no positive feedback or negative feedback. There is no right or wrong answer. The second thing I'm asking you is face the mirror. Be honest. It means the more you put in is in the questions, if in the things you don't understand. So for if you need clarification, if you put it in terms of the feelings that you're expressing, in terms of the, you will see that we're going to get, some people will say, Constantin, this is too much. You know, I don't want to reveal this. This is for me. So I'm saying have the courage to open up, have the courage to share. First to share with yourself. This is already a courage. The second would be because I'm going to ask you to share with others. So you have, and some people feel uncomfortable doing it. So what I'm saying is try to overcome it, because the more you stretch yourself, the more you will learn from the process. The second one is an important one, is really about the honesty. Be honest about what you see. I mean, I have personally major liabilities that I'm working on. Professionally, I was, as I said, I was heading different investment groups. I tended to be very impatient. I'm very much of a bulldozer. I know where I have to go, I'll go there, and I don't. So be honest about this and the feedback that you get. No naive questions. So whatever the questions are, feel free to ask. Basically, this is your journey, this is your journal, this is your journey. So try, there is no one answer, one template. You will say, this suits me, this doesn't make sense for me, it's fine. There is no one way to, there is different ways to look at it. Have fun has been mentioned before, because it's a short journey. We're here for a few years, hopefully many years. And the last one is feel free to reach out. In situations where you have to review a development plan, reach out. Reach out to people that you trust. Reach out to people that maybe have gone through the process themselves. And people would feel honored to be able to help, because at the end of the day, I believe that our happiness, if I go back to this, is the ability to be able to help others grow. So for me, the definition of love, it was not mine. It was the book, The Road Less Traveled by Scott. I forgot his name. Scott. So he said his definition of love is it's the discipline to be able to break boundaries in order to uplift the other person spiritually. I thought it was a very, very beautiful. It's about the human soul, but it's really about reaching out, and it's discipline. It's something that it not necessarily comes spontaneously in order to be able to help the other person grow spiritually. So reach out, share, and we will discuss about it. Through the process, you're going to learn, and through the process, hopefully, you're going to grow. Okay, so these are a few tips. You might add other tips that you have. Let me start with one person that I admire a lot, is Gandhi. And his sentence, there is a soul force in the universe which, if we permit it, it will flow through us and produce miraculous results. Now this force exists in every single one of you. Every single one of you have this force. A number of us are not even aware that it is there. This is why it's important when I mention the soul, when I mention nature, it's trying to be aware what is the soul force that is in you and is driving you. So it is because this thing, this force, if you put it, if you first to be aware of it, you align it with your own spirituality and you put it to the service of others. شو Varitek مأخرين دايما الحق سمارة مع مين الحق عليك هيك كيفك. Very good. So we have Varitek. This is Fund 2. Sami was Fund 1, where we funded about 15 companies. Fund 2, we are in the process of closing. So a lot of the work that we do are with companies, and we have they have companies that have gone through Fund 1 and Fund 2. Okay, so this is important, and this is a person. And if you ask me why I felt he had a meaningful life. I mean, the most obvious one is the impact that he has done to tens and hundreds of millions of people. It's because he's done it in a way which is completely different from whatever was. It's really through peace, through reflection, through detachments that you are able to change the world. So this is, and you will see a few quotes coming along. Now, we will not go through it, but it's a process that I'll be interested for you to focus, is to tell me in your life who were the role models. And in some ways, why you felt that these models, the role models were important. And it could be your grandfather. It could be a great aunt. It could be your next door neighbor. It doesn't necessarily need to be a boss, or it could be somebody who died, but you were inspired by the readings, you were inspired by the writing. So I've encouraged you to list who these role models are and in which ways they impacted you in what you do, because this will tell about who you are. So whoever you're going to have as a personal coach or a personal mentor, in some ways we will love to know what these are and then discuss them with you. Is this question clear? Okay? All right. We will, then I'm asking, this I probably will ask, what are your expectations? What are you going to spend? We're going to spend now 2.5 hours together. What are the expectations that you have from this workshop? No expectation. No, whatever comes along. You will appreciate whatever comes along. It's great. When you have no expectation in life, I have a friend who will say, so what are the expectations of this trip? And then the friend will say, Constantin, no expectation. We take it as it comes, and then we enjoy every moment of it. I'm sorry, you want to,
Be able to know myself more and be able to deal with that.
Okay. So know yourself more. So this is, this theme came up a number of times. It started with Socrates saying, dare be yourself, so it is Plato had it in a different way with his, the myth of the cave, you have it, so it takes a courage to face it. So know yourself, be able to accept who you are, this is quite important. What else?
Have a clear view.
Okay, so you want to have a clear view of what?
What's next?
Okay.
To which sport I'm saying?
To what? To?
Which sport
I am saying, okay, so you want to have a clear view of which sport you're selling, okay? Yes?
Well, I basically see myself as different puzzle pieces.
Yes.
So what I'm expecting is a way like how to deal with these puzzles.
Okay.
I know myself, but I know I have so many things, but how to get them all together.
Yes.
Methodology to get
Yeah.
them all together.
It's a great description, because you will see with time. I'm talking with a few white hair, and it's that you have this piece of the puzzle, and at one point in time, these pieces start to fit together, and at one point in time, you feel that this alignment is there. And you always, I'm a very anxious person. You know, I was born an anxious person, and I had events in my life that made me anxious. But over a period of time, I accepted this anxiety, and then these pieces of the puzzle started to fit. And when they felt, I felt like, you know, a pure blessing that is coming in. So getting these, understanding what the pieces are, and with time, how would these pieces fit together? I think this is great. Any other feedback? Yes, Ziad.
Get a dose of positivity from.
Ahla wa sahla. Now, if you were Rima, I would have given you a hug, but I'll give you a hug too. So, actually, hugs are great things. You know, we tend to. I'm talking a lot about, you'll see, about my personal thing. My father is a wonderful person. My father had a tough childhood. His father was an extremely successful, probably one of the most successful businessmen in Palestine at the time. And he amassed a huge, but he was extremely tough. And so my father did not know how to show emotions, because his father did not spend the time. It was golf, it was tennis, it was all this, he was doing all these business transactions. So when I would come and hug, he would feel uncomfortable. But the most, so when I had these kids who were very small, they would rush at him and they would hug him, and he would feel panicking. You know, he doesn't know how to. But over time, it was. So hugging is a wonderful thing. So you have what? What is the name? Amma. Amma. We have an Amma here. So yes. So you so. Oh, you go for a hug. It's great. Okay, good. Any other expectations? Yes?
That's my priority.
Okay, so a lot of it is a number of you would have, because you end up, you will see that your plate is full and you're stretched too thin. Your stretch is what is really important, what is less important. And this is a very difficult exercise, because it means that you have to let go of things. And we don't like to let go. We want still to keep it. We want to carry the burden. You have to let go. So setting the priorities, understanding what you have, and once you are clear about where your end goal is, all these things will come naturally. So the priority setting is quite important. Anything else? Okay, so so let's move now to the core. We're going to start with the first workshop. So this is actually from Maslow. It's a very, number of you must have experienced it. It's a pyramid.